Hello again. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, my name is Heather Engen, and I'm part of the CRCF team here at CIT. If you're not already familiar with it, CRCF stands for the Commonwealth Research Commercialization Fund. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to introduce you to our program. Today's presentation will focus on the letter of intent process. At the end of my presentation, I will be happy to address any additional questions you might have. Currently, all participants have been placed on mute to avoid background noise and feedback. But you may submit your questions at any time during the presentation by expanding your webinar control panel and using the questions feature. You can just type your questions right in there. This PowerPoint will be available on CIT's website by the end of the day at the same page where you registered for this webinar. We are recording this presentation and the audio will be available later this week as well. CRCF started in 2011 and the FY18 solicitation will be our 9th round of funding. To date, we've announced 272 awards for more than $22.5 million. CRCF funding is available to for-profit technology businesses, public and private colleges and universities, federal research facilities, university research consortia, and other nonprofit research institutions. CRCF targets all regions of the Commonwealth. The CRCF application process is conducted entirely online. Program guidelines, templates, and other application materials are available on CIT's website in the CRCF section. We will not accept hard copies or email submissions. Each LOI and subsequent application must be submitted via our CRCF portal. LOIs are non-binding, but you must submit an LOI if you think you might be interested in applying for funding. The LOI form should take no more than 5 minutes to complete. In FY18, $2.5 million are available to CRCF for a single solicitation. We have 5 funding programs. 3 of them are available to private sector organizations, the Commercialization Program, the SBIR Matching Funds Program, and the STTR Matching Funds Program. We have 2 programs that target academia, the Matching Funds Program and the Eminent Research Recruitment Program. As in previous rounds, this is a limited submission round. Organizations have submission caps in all 5 programs. For the Commercialization Program, the SBIR and STTR Matching Funds Programs, and the Eminent Researcher Recruitment Program, organizations may submit 1 LOI and 1 subsequent application if the LOI is approved for submission. For the Matching Funds Program, organizations may submit up to 4 LOIs and subsequent applications, but any given principal investigator may only submit 1 LOI and application. Most institutions will conduct an internal vetting process to select what they determine to be their strongest candidates for funding. So if you are a faculty member of a Virginia higher ed institution, we recommend you reach out to your school's Office of Sponsored Programs as soon as possible to indicate your interest in participating in that process. We hold all LOIs submitted by university researchers until the Office of Sponsored Programs provides us with a list of approved submissions. This year, there will be separate deadlines for LOIs and applications depending on the program you're applying for. The LOI deadline for the Commercialization Program and the SBIR and STTR Matching Funds programs is on Thursday, November 9, while the LOI deadline for Matching Funds Program and the Eminent Researcher Recruitment Program is Tuesday, November 28. For those applicants invited to continue in the process, the Commercialization, SBIR, and STTR Matching Funds programs are on Tuesday, January 16. For our academia programs, the deadline is Wednesday, January 31. Please note that the deadlines are on noon Eastern Standard Time for all of those dates. Deadlines are firm, and late submissions will not be accepted for any of our programs. Award announcements are anticipated for early June 2018. This year we are accepting applications in the following 6 industry sectors: biosciences/medtech, cybersecurity, energy, specifically clean energy, environment, specifically water quality, information technology, specifically data analytics, and finally unmanned systems. Please note that projects submitted under energy, environment, and information technology must align with that specific subsector. Is CRCF a fit? The program is targeting applicants who have a clear idea of an unmet need or opportunity. Their technology should exhibit strong potential to economically benefit the Commonwealth. Applicants should have a well-developed, detailed, and realistic picture of the discrete CRCF project. The commercialization strategy should include information about when commercialization is anticipated to occur and what steps are required to get there. CRCF monies should primarily fund technology development and are intended to advance the technology in a way that makes it more attractive for larger scale public or private funding. Applicants must determine whether the timing is right for CRCF funding. Are resources identified and available? Does the team have the necessary personnel and partners? Is there a fleshed out strategy for IP protection? The project must have a detailed and achievable plan of work, budget, and timeline. The LOI should provide a high-level overview of these details. It should be a good precursor to the executive summary required within your subsequent proposal. Prior award recipients are eligible to apply for FY18 funding. Projects may be a continuation of a previously funded project or may be for new work. And while you don't need to indicate the LOI at the LOI stage that a project is a resubmission, that information will be requested in the subsequent application. So you may wish to mention it in your LOI project description, including a sentence or two on progress that has been made or other advancements to the technology. This slide illustrates where projects may fall along the innovation continuum for our 5 CRCF programs. CRCF supports earlier stage and proof of concept or prototype development. CRCF's overarching goal is to drive economic growth in the Commonwealth by investing in technology commercialization. If you determine that your technology and project are a fit for CRCF funding, the next step is determining which program to apply for. Earlier, I mentioned that we have 3 private sector programs. All 3 programs have a $50,000 award cap. Applicants may submit a single LOI and subsequent application. Prior CRCF award recipients are eligible to submit and receive an award, but applicants to our private sector programs may have received no more than 2 prior CRCF awards. The commercialization program helps for-profit technology companies commercialize proof of concept or prototype technologies that have a reasonable probability of enhancing Virginia's national and global competitiveness. Applicant companies must have Virginia as the principal place of business for the firm and its senior executives. Applicants may not have received more than 8 federal SBIR or STT awards in any combination. They can't have received more than $5 million in combined outside private investment and cumulative sales since January 1, 2013. This doesn't include funding from founders, families, or friends, and you don't have to have investments or revenue, but if your company does have them, they can't exceed the caps that I mentioned. If you want more specific information about this, definitely check the program guidelines. Projects ought to be high potential and offer opportunity for commercialization and economic impact in Virginia. CRCF projects are expected to focus on technology development work, but monies may be used for market validation, IP protection, acquisition of materials and supplies, and/or other efforts to support commercialization. Caps on some of these areas do exist. Again, check the program guidelines for complete details. The SBIR and STTR matching funds programs support Virginia companies who have received federal funding through these programs. CRCF awards are intended to advance the work of federal award by covering work not supported in the initial award or filling the gap between phase submissions. Again, applicants must be Virginia-based technology companies with at least 51% of personnel and properties located in Virginia. The organization must also have fewer than 12 full-time employees. Additional eligibility criteria exists, including caps on the number of awarded federal Phase 1 and Phase 2 grants. Those specific details are all in the program guidelines. Note that the CRCF program guidelines allow companies to apply to the CRCF program as long as they have submitted or will submit their federal SBIR or STTR application for a deadline no later than January 31, 2018. So you must have applied before then, and the deadline cannot be after that. So even if you apply to a program before that date, but it has a later deadline, it's still not eligible. If the project is recommended for CRCF funding prior to the federal award decision, the CRCF funding will be contingent upon receipt of the federal award. The CRCF Matching Funds Program is the first of our non-private sector programs. It targets Virginia's public and private colleges and universities, federal research labs located in Virginia, university research consortia that include Virginia College or university members, and other nonprofit research institutions in the Commonwealth. The goal of this program is to assist these organizations with commercializing a technology by leveraging non-Commonwealth funds. As I previously mentioned, under the Matching Funds Program, an organization may submit up to 4 LOIs and applications and receive up to 4 awards total for a maximum of $100,000 each. This year, a principal investigator may submit a single LOI and subsequent application. Our final program is the Eminent Researcher Recruitment Program. Virginia's public universities may request up to $250,000 to assist with the recruitment of a top scholar to that institution. The researcher must offer an opportunity for valid research and significant commercialization in Virginia. Recruitment can be at one of 3 stages. A candidate has been identified, or multiple candidates are under consideration, or a profile has been developed for an ideal candidate. Funding under the Eminent Researcher Recruitment Program can be used for startup package support, salary supplement, supplies and equipment, or lab upgrades. Those are all examples of potential uses for those monies. Again, a reminder that for both of the programs offered to Virginia colleges and universities, researchers need to contact their school's Office of Sponsored Programs as soon as possible to participate in their school's internal down-select process before submitting to CRCF. All 5 CRCF programs have a matching funds component. So funds must be provided in an amount matching or exceeding the funds requested from CRCF. For the SBIR and STTR programs, the federal award serves as this match. You can have additional monies as a match, but it's not required. These matching funds must be active and available during the proposed CRCF period of performance. Matching funds can be from federal, private, or non-Commonwealth of Virginia funds that support the same work proposed to CRCF and align with the period of performance. Matching funds could also come from other sources, such as wage salaries or indirect costs, materials or supplies, time on equipment, travel, or subcontractor or consultant work. Federal, private, or other monies provided as a match demonstrate validation and desirability of the technology. On a side note, if funds are not eligible as a match, for instance, if the period of performance has concluded, mentioning this funding in your proposal could be beneficial just to validate the technology. So, it's still good to mention that. So letters of intents, or LOIs, are a required element of the CRCF application process. They allow us to confirm program eligibility and to begin identifying subject matter experts for the review process, assuming your application advances to that level of review. LOIs must be submitted using the online form accessible via each of the CRCF program pages. At the bottom of the page, you'll see a little button that says Apply. There is a sample LOI available for download on our website, and I'll preview it in this presentation. As you prepare your LOI, keep in mind the intent of the CRCF program, which is to commercialize a high potential technology for which IP and revenue will be generated and economic outcomes are envisioned for Virginia. When starting an LOI, applicants will be asked to select the CRCF program type for which the project is intended. So I'm going to slide here onto the screen. I'm just going to walk you guys through this LOI process. I have my pseudo organization that's going to apply for a program. So I'm going to just kind of walk you through this for one of them so you can see how it looks. You'll see here, if you have multiple organizations, that you can select the organization that's applying. Make sure you choose the right thing here because you will not have an opportunity to change this later. You would have to contact us for something like that. But most of you will only have one organization, so you would select that organization. You will come into the LOI form. You would then start a new LOI. So I'm just going to walk you through a commercialization program application, but they're all very similar. So I think this will, this should assist you no matter what program you're applying for. But here you would select the program. You would choose your organization type, and the options will be a little different depending on which program you're applying for. But again, this is pretty straightforward. So, when you create your title, please think about putting it into title case. This will not change. It will be auto-populated into the application. So again, make sure that your title it uniquely describes the project and that it's accurate because you will not be able to change it later. So you would select your industry sector. Here we want you to give us an overview of the project, specifically the work that you'll be doing, because this is how we determined if your project is eligible. If there are things that you might want to address, for example, if your website says that you are not a Virginia company or might lead us to believe that, you might want to provide information explaining discrepancies like that in your project description. But this is an opportunity to just kind of let us know what the project is about. So I'm going to say something not very interesting here, but then at the end you'll see this box that says I certify. So we ask that you read the program guidelines for your specific project. And as long as your organization meets all of the criteria, then you can say that you certify it and you say save and proceed, and that's all you need to do. So I'm going to go, well, that is not all you need to do. You have to walk through, here I'll continue to walk through real quickly. So you'll see here, information for your organization. And then you'll reach a screen where you can review all of the information that you've entered. If you realize that there's something that you need to come back and revisit, you can hit the save only, but you do need to hit submit before the LOI deadline. So at that point you would submit this. It's going to touch you, just check and make sure you really want to do that. You'll say okay, and you're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off the screen here. We'll go back to the slide, but you can see all of the fields that will be requested. So when starting the LOI, you'll be asked to select the program, as we saw. Based on that selection, applicants will be asked to confirm their organization type, which we demonstrated. You'll recall that program eligibility is based in part on the organization type. Program guidelines will provide more insight to eligibility criteria. You'll be asked to enter a project title, which we did. You'll select the industry sector, which most closely aligns with your project. We understand that some of your projects will align with several, possibly, but just select the one that most closely aligns. So you'll enter all the information into the fields. As I mentioned, remember that the title you will not be able to change that, so make sure that you have that accurate before you send it to us. Project titles are capped at 150 characters and should describe in layman's terms the proposed project. Project descriptions may be a maximum of 2,000 characters, which is about a third of a page, and they're expected to provide a high-level overview of the proposed project. This includes identifying the opportunity, project objectives, key activities in the plan of work, and the stage of IP. Project descriptions should also be in layman's terms. We encourage you to utilize the space to provide a thorough overview of the work and specific project you propose to undertake with CRCF funds. I think as is the standard, character limits do include punctuation and spaces, so bear that in mind. All applicants are asked to certify their eligibility, that is to confirm that the organization is compliant with the eligibility criteria outlined in the program guidelines, as I already mentioned. You'll enter the PI's name and contact information, which I already demonstrated. What I did not demonstrate is that LOIs for SBIR and STTR matching funds will have 3 additional fields. You'll enter the award number of the federal SBIR or STTR award. If you don't have that award number yet, then you just say that it's pending. It will walk you through that. You provide us with the estimated date of award if the federal proposal is still pending, and you will have to select whether it's a phase 1 or a phase 2, and there's a field to put in the federal agency to which you've applied. So, sorry, I just have to, I got myself off the screen to advance the slide, but now we will advance to the sample LOI. So this is not a form that you will fill out. This is just for your benefit. There is a PDF version of this sample LOI on our website. But this is just to show you, as you're preparing your LOI, the questions that will be asked on the form, but it is certainly not something you will return to us or that we would even accept. But it's just for your benefit so you can see what you need to do. Once you complete all applicable fields on this online form, click Submit as I demonstrated. A confirmation will appear on your screen, which you probably saw on my screen, and eventually you'll receive an email from our system. Please note that the email will likely take 30 minutes to an hour to be generated by our system. It does not happen instantaneously. If you do not receive an email within several hours, please contact our team at crcf@cit.org. You'll see that email address again, but that's how you would reach us. You can start an LOI and save it for completion later, as I demonstrated. On the final review screen, you would select the option Save Only, and then you could come back later and you would finish completing your LOI. As I mentioned, the LOI must be submitted before the deadline for consideration. Saving the deadline does not enter it into our system. It has to be submitted. Once the LOI is received by our team, we will review it and respond within 5 business days. If the LOI meets the program requirements, the applicant will receive an email with instructions regarding the next steps. Each project invited to continue to the application process will be assigned a unique reference number that will be used by CIT and yourself for the rest of the application process. This number will be pre-populated into the application documents. CIT reference numbers are an internal identification system developed to identify the solicitation, program, and industry sector to which a project was submitted. All future correspondence to CRCF or CIT must include that CIT reference number. In some cases, upon review of your LOI, the CRCF team may have questions or require clarification of the work to be conducted before we can approve the project for application submission. If this happens, you will receive 2 emails. The first from CIT with the information being requested, and the second which will provide instructions for revising and resubmitting the LOI. Complete information on the FY solicitation is available via the URL on your screen. Here you'll find the sample LOI for download, FAQs, and links to register for additional upcoming webinars or events and to view recordings of previously recorded webinars. Obviously, this webinar is our first one for the solicitation, but you will find this one, and then subsequently you'll be able to find all of the other ones that we do. We'll offer 2 sessions of the webinar, The Application Process, and 2 sessions of another one entitled Completing the Budget. If your LOI is approved for submission, I strongly encourage you to participate in each of these sessions to provide additional insight into the application process. At this URL, you will also find links to program pages where you can download program guidelines, proposal and budget templates, sample applications, and a sample project budget. If at any time during this process you have questions, our team is available via crcf@cit.org. This is definitely the best way to reach us, especially, this time we're busy. We have team members going all around the state for events. So if you contact us at this email address, you're guaranteed to reach someone who's in the office. If you are interested in joining our listserv for future announcements, you can see the URL on your screen, and in the PDF, you should be able to click on that, and then you can register for our listserv via a short form on the CRCF webpage. I'm just going to slide over. I pulled up, I think here, I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull onto your screen. I'm just showing you quickly what that little form looks like. So you can see it's just a quick, easy little form that you can fill out to receive communications from us. So what's next? I know I've mentioned this several times, but it's very important that if you are a faculty member from a Virginia college or university and you intend to submit to our program, you must contact the Office of Sponsored Programs right away. The letter of intent deadlines for our private sector and non-private sector programs are going to be here before you know it. So make sure to jot down if you are applying to the commercialization program, the SBIR or STTR matching funds programs, that deadline again is on November 9 at noon. If you're applying to matching funds or eminent researcher recruitment program, that deadline is noon on Tuesday, November 28. Please avail yourself of the many resources provided on our website. I think that you'll find the FAQs to be a handy supplement as you're going through the application process. There's a lot of information there. So this concludes the prepared portion of the presentation. I encourage you to send any questions you have via the panel on the side of your the webinar control panel. You should see a questions function there. I will address questions in the order they come in for the benefit of all participants. Having said that, if a question seems very specific to one organization or we need more information before we can provide a clear answer, then I'll follow up individually at the conclusion of this session. I am joined by my colleague Jennifer Hiltwine for the question and answer section. So if you have anything you'd like to ask us. So I'm just quickly going through the questions here. So let me read through it. Just give me a few seconds here to read through them, and then we'll start to address these questions. Okay, sorry for the pause there. We're just quickly looking through these. So someone asked the question, does water quality include efforts to reduce phosphorus pollution in the Chesapeake Bay watershed? Absolutely. Yes, that is perfect. We had another question asking if we know who the reviewers are after the LOI. So as I mentioned, our process is that the applications come in and first they are evaluated for administrative compliance. If they pass that step of the review process, then they would go on to subject matter experts. If the subject matter experts believe that they should be funded, they advance to it's the RTAC, but I'm trying to think here in my head, I'm remembering the acronym. It's the Regional Technology, Research Technology Investment Advisory Committee. Sorry, Jennifer's walking me through that. So, and then ultimately it would be the final funding decisions are by the CIT board.
This is Jennifer, and I'll add to that in terms of reviewers after the LOI, part of the reason behind asking for the letters of intent is so that CIT can begin identifying those niche experts for your particular project. So not only do we use that LOI to make sure that an organization is eligible for the program, but also to assist us in beginning that process, because it is quite a process for us to identify the project that you're proposing and find someone who in fact would be a subject matter expert to review those. And those experts come anywhere from academia to government to industry experts, venture capitalists. We run the gamut of all of the experts that we're pulling in to review a particular proposal. So that process starts here with the LOI.
This is Heather again. Someone had asked the question, they said, what if we have not yet incorporated? can we submit an LOI? Yep, so the LOI deadline, you have to have incorporated by the LOI deadline, which is November 9, 2017. So as long as you're incorporated by then, you're fine. Someone asked if we could explain the differences between the commercialization and SBIR matching programs. It seems that a lot of companies would qualify for both. How should we decide which program to apply for? So that's true. There is a lot of overlap in the programs, and in fact, you can use federal funding from an SBIR or STTR as a match for a commercialization program application. But I'm actually going to pass the headset here to Jennifer, who I think will be able to elaborate better on the differences between the two programs.
So it's a really great question, and one that we actually hear quite often, because as Heather said, some of the goals of the program are the same. I would encourage anyone who is thinking about whether to apply for SBIR or STTR versus the commercialization to think through some of the elements. So for instance, you may apply under SBIR and STTR because you already have a federal award in hand. But you could also apply with a pending award, one that would be submitted by that January 31st deadline. You would want to take into account the fact that while no CRCF award is guaranteed just because there is a federal award, you do have the opportunity, if an award is made by CRCF, it's contingent upon receipt of that federal award. So while we could recommend that the project be funded, you would have to have that award in hand from the feds before we would disperse any money. So there is that possibility that the federal award wouldn't be granted and you would no longer be able to accept funding from CRCF. With that said, so the CRCF commercialization program wouldn't have that same contingency factor. Along those lines, though, the commercialization program does require that additional one-to-one match provided, whereas the SBIR or STTR programs, the federal award automatically serves as that match. So an organization wouldn't have to put forward any labor, in-kind donations such as equipment, things that would add up to that $50,000 request. So there's some different factors that would come into play in terms of what program is the best fit. Additionally, CRCF is intended for the SBIR and STTR programs to support the award of the feds. So it may fill the gap between your phase submission. It may cover some of the work that your federal award doesn't cover. On that flip side, the commercialization program is really focusing on the proof of concept or prototype development stages for a company. And it doesn't have a bearing in terms of whether or not you do have that federal award. So take a look at the guidelines, contact our team at CRCF at CIT.org if you have a particular circumstance that we can work through and help you uncover what's going to be the best direction for your organization.
All right, this is Heather again. So someone asked the question if the LOI and further application become public information. They do not become public information, but we do ask that if there's confidential information, you mark it as such, although we really encourage people not to provide us with proprietary information. But no, they do not become public information. We are asking in this year, one thing that we are requesting is that you do make your executive summary available, acceptable for public consumption, because we may use that in trying to find appropriate subject matter experts. We may use that description in presentations to our board, but we're hoping that will be a good overview of the project and one that can be shared publicly. Someone asked if there's a place on the LOI to identify the amount of funds being requested. There is not. So obviously, there's an assumption that whatever your request would be less than the program max, but at the LOI stage, there's no need for that information. We had another request to receive a copy of the recorded webinar. Absolutely, we will have these up on our website, and if you want us to email it to you specifically, we're happy to do that. Someone asked, does in-kind qualify as match? Yes, I mentioned I think there was a slide where we discussed match, but definitely, and if you look in the program guidelines, you'll find more information about this. We list all, many different examples of match, but again, if you have specific questions for something that your organization is, looking to use as a match, feel free to email us at crcf@cit.org, and we'd be happy to go over that specific information with you. If the project is highly innovative, who will be the expert for the evaluation? Again, that's why we ask for you to provide us as much specific information as possible in the LOI so we can start identifying those experts. But we certainly make our best effort to find someone who can review your project. Someone is asking if I could submit an LOI for the commercialization plan and the STTR matching program if I'm not sure yet if the STTR will be awarded. So this year you can only submit to one private sector program, so I'm not sure if the question was about submitting to both programs, but if the STTR is not awarded, that is fine for an application to the STTR program. You can just put on your application, that you're still awaiting a funding decision. And then, as we mentioned earlier, if you were given an award by our program and you still had not received your federal funding decision, our award would be contingent upon receipt of the federal funding. Somebody asked if we can help identify a university partner. That is not something that we get involved in, so that's something that you would need to do. Sorry, a lot of questions are coming in, so I'm trying to make sure we're not missing anything. Someone asked how in-depth the letter, about the content of the letter of intent. Obviously, there is a character limit, so there's a cap on the length in that way. It's about 1/3 of a page. So, right, so it's supposed to be a high-level overview of the project. We're trying to get an idea of what we would be funding. So, as detailed as you can be within that criteria would be fantastic. So, we love it for people to use all the available space and to provide us a good overview of the program, but obviously you are limited by the character limits. Another participant mentioned that the Virginia Biosciences Health Research Corporation could probably help pair people up with university partners, so that's great to know, and I hope for the person who had that question that they are hearing that suggestion. Sorry, just looking through these questions. We have a lot of requests to email, so we will happily do that. As I said, it will be available on the website, so you can listen to it again. We will put up the PowerPoint right away. Okay, so let's see, do we still have, so I think I've addressed all of the sort of general questions that have come in as of right now. So I'm going to wind down here on the webinar, but again, please feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. Our team is always available at crcf@cit.org. And I thank you for spending a few minutes here with us today. I hope that you got some good information. And yeah, there's a few people that we're going to follow up with after the session because they had very specific questions to their situation. But again, please join us for our next several webinars if you are invited to apply to the program, and have a great afternoon.